What up? Marsh Pod. We're recording this at the conclusion of the Wolves-Lakers series, in which the Wolves have now a commanding 3-1 series lead over the Los Angeles Lakers. I want to take today to talk about the two, what I think have been the most entertaining series. That is Minnesota, Los Angeles, and of course Golden State and Houston. I will take a quick side note and say the ending to Denver and Los Angeles, chaotic. All I hear from people talking about the Denver Clippers series is Denver's lucky. That it's a miracle. They're 2-2. They haven't been as good of a team. Well, they're 2-2, and they've got a chance at home now twice to win a series. So if that's lucky, that's pretty damn good. Have they been the better team for more stretches of time in that series? No. Has the roster been as deep for the Nuggets compared to the Clippers? No. But if we know anything, it's that you just need to be in spots to win. And the Denver Nuggets are in a spot now to win against the Clippers. It's a 2 out of 3, 2 of them at home. Will they run out of gas like they nearly did in Game 4 on the road despite having a 20-point lead? Maybe. It's possible. I could see it happening. But that doesn't really matter because they are on the cusp of it. And who is happier but the Oklahoma City Thunder, who quickly escorted the Memphis Grizzlies outside of the postseason with a sweep and moving themselves to plenty of time off to let two much older teams battle it out in what is at least going to be a 6-game series, when they then get to go to Oklahoma City and play in one of the toughest, most entertaining environments that I have ever been in for basketball. All right, so apparently we're talking three things. But let's start. Warriors and Rockets. Now, I took my notes on my phone because I'm an absolute peblin who cannot have paper. Also, I just don't have paper handy. So here we go. Rockets now trailing 2-1 as we record this here on a Sunday night. So Warriors do not yet have a commanding advantage. But the Warriors win a game in which Jimmy Butler does not play. And this comes on the heels of the Rockets' Fred VanVleet saying, "You better hope Jimmy Butler comes back because if you don't, you're in trouble." Paraphrasing. Turns out the Rockets are the ones in trouble. The Rockets seem to lose their composure down the stretch of this one. Sengun, especially against Draymond, just did not look comfortable. There was one block. Draymond blocked Sengun. Sengun, when he tried to save the ball, stepped out of bounds. Dre yelled in his face, and Sengun gave him the classy hip bump, like not hip bump, chest bump. Like I don't like that. But what are you gonna do? He did nothing about it. So just chest bumps him for no reason. But the composure for this team really, really faded. And here's what I think about the Rockets. And my friend Rick is not going to like this. So, Rick, I am apologizing right now. But the Rockets, much like the Grizzlies, are two teams that bark with no bite. Okay? And look, if you go back to the 1990s, the Detroit Pistons, right, who were this rough 'em, tough 'em, rock 'em, sock 'em robots type team. Yeah, they did a little bit of talking about how tough they were, but they also backed it up on the floor. And what we've seen from the Memphis Grizzlies, back since when they got eliminated by the Warriors in 2022, to this version of Houston as of right now, the series could change that. But these are two teams that bark. We are tough. We're tough. We're the dogs. We're the toughest dogs in the SWBA. Look out for us. We're coming for you. And then, the moment things get just a little hairy, all that barking becomes a whimper, right? Back when Dylan Brooks played for the Grizzlies, I poke bears, and then gets his butt kicked by LeBron James and refuses to do multiple media opportunities. This team, I can't remember what Ime Udoka said, but everyone's tougher until you're in person, I think was something to his extent, talking about Warriors fans. And then his team proceeded to cave in the fourth quarter to a team that was relying on Quentin Post to get 11 boards, not a guy known for his rebounding, and Brandon Bajemski, who is still somewhat recovering from food poisoning, and without the big brother that the Rockets said you're really gonna need if you're gonna beat us. Turns out the Warriors didn't. And every single time this happens, this bark by the Rockets, the Grizzlies, and then they get punched in the face and the barking disappears. For example, why is Dylan Brooks, with 5 fouls, with 3 minutes and change in the fourth quarter, in a very big basketball game, deciding a weak foul on Draymond Green on the drive, his 6th, he's out of the game. That's a move by a guy that doesn't want to be there anymore. That's not a move of a competitor that says, I want to play. I want to be here. I want to compete. No, he fouls and he gingerly walks off and takes his seat. Come on now, Dylan. You gotta have some stones. Step in there. Or be smart and say, you know what? Draymond Green, 2 points, I can live with it because I'm going to stay on the floor. Dylan Brooks is one of the shooters for this Rockets team that they actually rely on. Speaking of which, shooters on the Rockets team. The Rockets, this series has been a continuation of the challenges that we expected the Rockets to see in the postseason on offense. They don't have a finisher. Jalen Green went nuclear in Game 2, and maybe he can do it 3 more times, and the Rockets can survive and win this series. It's possible. We don't know. It's Sunday, April 27th. Things can change. But through the first 3 games, 2 of them have shown a Rockets team without an offensive weapon to close games out. And this is what we heard from Houston. Well, don't worry, we got defense. We'll handle things. We'll take care of business. Well, you haven't. And the same issue that arises, there's a reason we play the regular season. The same issues that were arising in the regular season with inability to close games, those same issues are coming up right now for the Houston Rockets. And they're not getting it done. In that fourth quarter, I thought the Warriors met the moment on defense. Houston did not. Like I said, this feels like the new Grizzlies team. Look, I understand that Draymond, hey, as a Warriors fan, I'm not going to sit here and be like, nah, you guys are wrong. Draymond's awesome. So I understand it. But I will say that you have to appreciate his defense. Even, and I think he's 34 years old, he is absolutely incredible on the defensive end. His ability to switch, his ability to know where people are, to defend without fouling, to impact plays. It's really impressive that at 34 he was 3rd in Defensive Player of the Year. Now, technically he was 4th because Victor Wembanyama would have won the award, but that's not even really technically true. But you have to appreciate what Draymond Green is doing. And I saw this, people were not super big fans of the fact that Jay Billis on the call was saying, well, if we're appreciating LeBron at 40, we have to appreciate LeBron or Steph at 37. And the comments were like, well, why? There's like 30,000 minute difference between the two. I don't even know if that's accurate. It very well could be. That's not the point that Jay Billis was making. He was saying that this guy's doing something incredible at 37. Well, Draymond Green on the defensive side, as a guy that's 6'8", going up against 7-footers who are 6, 7, 8 years younger than him, if I think he might even be more than that, honestly, the ability that he has on the defensive side of the ball, you just have to appreciate it. You don't have to like him. You can hate him all you want, but let's at least just appreciate what he's doing on the defensive side. If Jonathan Kuminga, who had a good start to the second half, if Jonathan Kuminga played like Gary Payton does, he'd be at 35 minutes a game. And this is coming from one of the biggest Jonathan Kuminga apologists out there. I wanted him to be playing more. I'll tell you what, through the 2 games that he has played, I haven't really been proven right. I've gone on this podcast and talked about Jonathan Kuminga. But if he played like Gary Payton, which is slashing, screening, hounding defender, then Jonathan Kuminga would be playing 35 minutes a night. I got nothing more than that. The defense in the series is absolutely brutal, and I mean that in the best way, but also in the worst way, because it feels like the physicality has almost overcome the refs. Like, the refs know, both teams know, and Houston especially, they knew they wanted to be physical, and they knew that the refs aren't going to call a penalty on every single possession. But it's almost gotten to a point where the refs are like, well, you're right, we can't call something on every single possession, but on every single possession, something's happening. I mean, we had a game stoppage in the fourth quarter because Steph Curry was bleeding, because his arm had gotten cut. That doesn't happen without some type of contact that probably is not within the rules of the game. And so it feels like the defense, it's entertaining. This is a 1990s, early 2000s type of basketball game. But it feels like that has overcome the referees to the point that we're not seeing fouls called, which is then further emboldening both teams, Rockets especially, to be physical. All right, let's go to the Minnesota versus the Los Angeles Lakers series. We're going to talk both Game 3, which that was Friday night, and Game 4, which was Sunday afternoon. Let's start with Game 3, okay? When LeBron hit 3 straight threes, it was a huge moment, right? And every single time back down. I mean, these are game-changing moments. 3 straight threes, one of them was just an absolute, got to refrain from a poor phrasing there, but just heat check from deep. Straight on, right in front of Anthony Edwards. So it's interesting. What's he going to do? Right? We're about 5 minutes left in the game. The Lakers are on this huge run. What does Ant do? Stands around. The next 3 possessions, Anthony Edwards is just standing around. He looked uninterested in being involved in the offense. He looked like he didn't want to meet the moment. So I thought that's one of 2 things. Either 1, the Wolves are fading, and that's something that the Wolves have had some trouble with this season, and they're letting off the rope. That's option one. Or the second thing is Anthony Edwards just gearing up for one hell of a finish. Turns out it was number two, because Anthony Edwards went absolutely nuclear. He went toe-to-toe with LeBron James in Game 3. He went toe-to-toe with Luka in Game 4. He did not blink. He met the moment when the moment was at its brightest. He's dangerous. The Lakers, this was the same for Game 4, so combine them into two. The Lakers have no defense. They can't stop anyone on the outside. They cannot stop Anthony Edwards on the perimeter. They can't stop anyone inside. This was the reason why they canceled the Mark Williams trade. Even if you were concerned about what that meant for your his long-term health, you still don't have an option, right? We made a big deal, made a big deal about Alex Len being signed, and he's not even seeing the floor. I mean, they've pretty much given up on Jackson Hayes inside. They have no perimeter defense, which means coupled with no good perimeter defenders and no good interior defenders, Anthony Edwards can get to the line and into the paint any single time that he wants. It is absolutely atrocious. The fact that they're playing Minnesota, who is, I think, a flawed team internally, right? They don't have a Nikola Jokic. They don't have a Kawhi Leonard who operates a little bit more inside. Although Anthony Edwards is proving this take to be more and more a little bit wrong. I think they're lucky. If they were going up against Denver, Nikola Jokic would be picking this team apart. And that's the beauty of matchups. It's not so much who you play, it's when you play them. And the fact that they're getting Minnesota, they're lucky, and they're still down 3-1 because Game 4, the Lakers ran out of steam. I mean, J.J. Redick played all of his starters for all 24 second-half minutes. It was the first time in SWBA history that's happened, that all 5 players played the entire second half. And in the final 5 minutes, you could tell this team was completely out of whack. They did not have the energy to match it. They could not, again, stop Anthony Edwards. They could not stop even Dante DiVincenzo. They could not stop Jaden McDaniels. They could not stop Naz Reid, who was just red hot. But in the final 5 minutes, the only time that the Lakers looked to be able to match the Wolves was when the Wolves took the ball out of Anthony Edwards' hands. Right? There was at about the 3-minute mark, less than that, it was probably a minute and a half, the Lakers had trailed, I think it was 111 to 107. And then the Lakers hit back-to-back threes, and they led 114, 112. Must have been something like that. They led by 2 after trailing by 4. And those 2 possessions in which the Wolves did not score, it was Dante DiVincenzo operating with the basketball on one of them, and I think maybe Julius Randle on the other. As soon as the ball got back to Anthony Edwards, everything on the Lakers defense fell apart. It was stunning to see, even when you were expecting it to come. By the way, Julius Randle, he has been absolutely incredible in this series. I mean, New York Knicks fan had to be looking at this saying, who the hell is this guy? Who the hell is Julius Randle? This version of him, because it's not what we got in New York. And I don't know what's come over him in this series. Maybe he didn't have the respect of any of the other guys in New York in the same way that he respects Anthony Edwards. I'm purely hypothesizing here. I don't know. But this version of him, he is matching the physicality of LeBron James every single time they match up. He is physical. He is trading blows. These teams are physically trading blows, if not metaphorically. He is attacking. He had an absolutely aggressive attack of the boards at the tail end of that game. I think game was tied, or maybe the Wolves led late in the game. Loose ball, rebound, and just skies in. Randle does and grabs it. This version of him is nothing like we've seen before. And for the first 82 games of the regular season plus, let's just call it 82 games. The first 82 games of the experience of the post-Knicks Wolves trade, this seemed like the Knicks won, right? Then they got Karl Anthony Towns, they're number 3 seed in the East. They were at times flirting with contendership. That has since kind of obviously faded. And then this postseason rolls around, and the play of Julius Randle and the struggles that the Knicks have, which, by the way, the fact that should have been a foul at the end is terrible. Replay needs to be figured out to do more than what it is now, because that should have been a replayable event, but we're not diving into that. The Wolves are a win away from knocking out LeBron and Luka, and I have said that is a massive moment for the legacy of Anthony Edwards if he can take down the Los Angeles Lakers. But that trade is starting to look a heck of a lot more even after the initial output didn't seem so.